Let's talk about sex, shall we? Sacred sex. Not just the type where you go, oh my God, and have a really great time. That too. But the kind where you go to somebody to teach you how to make love, as if you're doing it with God, instructed by the most noble and ancient divine techniques of lovemaking. Sounds ridiculous? Well, it's part of our tradition, repressed and denied, but here to be discovered. Welcome back to Word, weekly passwords to the riddles of our lives, where today we ask ourselves, how do we live in a world where there's so much fear of sex, where there's so much abuse of the erotic, where there are news from Afghanistan where men, in the name of God, are defaming and defining new ways of being religious that make it really difficult for women to be who they are, that completely deny homosexual love and practice violence in the name of religion. Well, the Taliban did not make this up. They're the fundamentalist Muslims, and we have it right here in the Torah, in our own tradition. Once upon a time, our patriarchal Judaism, and to an extent still today, was very afraid of the body and eros and sex, of women and queers, of anything that denies the supremacy of male hetero behavior. So here's Dvarim. The parasha of this week is Tetze. There's lots of wonderful laws here about justice, and many that are about the execution of those who defy the norms of sexual behavior. And there in chapter 23, verse 19, is a verse that in English says, there will not be a cult prostitute among you, male or female. The Hebrew word is Kadeshah. And Kadeshah, or Kadesh, is similar to Kiddush, or Kadosh, to Kadesh. It is the word that means sacred. And it actually gives us a hint, a wink, into the ancient tradition that Judaism abolished, where temples were erected everywhere, where you would go, to a man or woman, to other, beyond gender, to be trained in the ways of lovemaking, to have a priest or priestess not abuse you, but welcome you into lovemaking, teach you how to love. That's the Kadesh and the Kadeshot of yore, that our tradition, when it turned fundamental and afraid of sex, abolished. Whereas today, sex work exists in many ways that are sometimes degrading, but often of choice and noble, and we're all trying to figure out how to celebrate the body erotic in ways that really honor all and every way we are. My friend Ohad Ezrachi just sent me this book that just came out in Hebrew, his sequel to the series of Kadeshah, the book that describes the history of sacred sex in our Semitic and modern tradition. The original volume in English is already available on Amazon. The Hebrew is out in both, and hopefully the translation to English is available too. These are investigative fiction books about retrieving the sense of sacred pleasure and divine right of the erotic. What a privilege for us to be living in days where we can stand up for these rights and demand that in places all over the world, justice and progress, sex and pleasure is not a small thing, but a major priority. On this day, on this Shabbat, Mid Elul, may we find the ways to take care of each other and our bodies, and teach and learn how to be holy vessels, sacred carriers of love. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for joining me for Word, weekly passwords to the riddles of our life, dismantling patriarchy, one word at a time.